and Quintus Rufus. And they wrote extensively about Alexander the Great. And they wrote about his many battles and all the things that he did. And let me tell you something about Alexander the Great. He was ruthless. He was ruthless. When he went somewhere, he went to get it, take it, and kill anybody that was in his path. And he is known as one of the greatest conquerors and generals that's ever been known. So he is about to come and visit this city on this island. So from all accounts, Alexander succeeded his father, who was murdered. This was around in the time of shortly during when the Medes and the Persians had built their great empire. Here comes Alexander out of Greece. He's taken over for his father, and he heads out south. And he's going to conquer everything in his path. He goes to Egypt. He goes to the Medes and the Persians. He wipes them out. He takes them over. He goes to the city of Byblos and Sidon. And they eventually they didn't even fight. They just gave it to him. They surrendered without a fight. So he's headed down, and now he comes to Tyre. And this is remember, this was a big trading post. These people were very wealthy. So he's there. That's all he's got left this far that's in his path is this city. And he knows he has to take the city because of these two ports. If he walks away from it, then they could actually use their navies to come after him. They would always be chasing him. He wants to take that threat away. So he comes there. Well, when he gets there, the people or the king of Tyre decides, hey, I'll send an envoy of people out. We'll meet him. We'll give him some gifts. And we'll try to become an ally with Alexander the Great. So they go out and they meet with Alexander. And they tell him this. They don't submit now. They're not submitting. They're just wanting to be an ally with him. In other words, they want to be on his good graces. Well, he makes a request. He tells them that he wants to come into their island city. He wants to go to their temple. And remember, their god that they worship was Malquart. He was a Baal. He was come out of this line of the Baal. But he was also compared to Hercules, which was a Greek god. And this is the reason that Alexander wanted to go into the city, is because he compared himself to Hercules. All these ancient generals always told people that they descended from these Greek gods, and his was Hercules. And if you look at a lot of what they do, I guess now it's probably not any of them left, but a lot of the early statues and things that they found out about him, when they made a statue of Alexander, he would be wearing different things that Hercules would have on him. So he wanted to go in and make a sacrifice in their temple. Of course, I'm sure this threw up a red flag, because I'm sure they figured, hey, if he goes in the city with all his army, he's not ever going to leave. And they were exactly right. So they told him, well, no, we're not going to let you do that. But said, hey, I tell you what, you can go over there to what's left of the mainland city, and you can make your sacrifice over there, where Nebuchadnezzar destroyed all of that. You can go over there and make your sacrifice. We're not going to let you do it in the city. Well, Alexander continued to send some envoys to the island to try to talk them into this, and every time he did that, they murdered them. The citizens there murdered his envoys. Alexander's had enough. And he tells them this. He said, you indeed, relying on your situation, because you live on an island despise the army of foot soldiers. Listen to this. But I will soon show you that you are on the mainland. Therefore, I want you to know I will either enter your city or I will besiege it. So he told them, hey, I'm telling you, I'm coming one way or another. But notice what he told them, I will make you part of the mainland. So what he does is he takes his soldiers and he begins building that mole. It's called a mole. Siculus referred to it as a mole. Most people call it a causeway. And here's what he did. Here is the fulfilling of the prophecy of Ezekiel. He begins taking the ruins of the old mainland city, and he found the point of the mainland that was closest from the mainland to the island, and he starts throwing this in the water. The stones, the dirt, and the cedars. Remember, they were famous for their cedars of Lebanon. He starts cutting those or taking what was there left in the city. He starts throwing them in the water. What did Ezekiel say? What did he say about the city? What, your stones, your timber, even your soil will be thrown into the waters. Alexander is fulfilling that. He begins building this major causeway. When he gets out into the deeper water, it slows down, gets a little bit slower. People of Tyre think it's funny. A lot of these writers say that they would actually get in their ships. They wouldn't get close enough to him, but they would talk about him, say things about these soldiers, how stupid they were. It wasn't going to happen. They couldn't do it. So Alexander says, hey, I'm different from Nebuchadnezzar. I'm not going to starve you out. I'm coming in and I'm going to get you. So he goes back to the cities he's conquered, and these ancient writers say that he brought tens of thousands of men back with him. Sure, they were slaves. And it gets so bad that they have to stop. These